Hello guys, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. I'm just going to put the disclaimers up on the top left hand side of the screen, so please read them. As they're up there, let me just explain what a 3D market commentary is. So essentially every day we send out an email to our free members, and on that email we put out information on 5 major world markets looking at 3 major elements per one. That's why we call it our 3D market commentary. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but just before I do, just to say, if you have any questions, you can email me. That's becky@tradictive.com. I'm Becky. And there's also support@tradictive.com, which are equally happy to help, so you can email them as well. Now, there's also a link, which let me show you. Here we go. tradewithufos.com/Becky. From this link, you can get apps on platforms that you might be using. You can book one-on-one coaching from here. And you can also come down and ask questions in this public space, which is really great because it means we can answer the questions in that public space and everybody can learn from this environment and from this area. So please do, if you can, ask your questions there. Okay, so let's just bring up that email. There it is. And it obviously correlates with market data. So there we go. So as we said, it is a 3D market approach, or a 3D commentary, because we are looking at 3 separate elements. Now, the first element is market climate, meaning where do we have probabilities? Up, down, nowhere, and therefore what do? Buy, sell, do nothing. Now, we use an app to help us with this. It's a free app on most platforms you can get it on. That's the AutoClimate app. And that tells us where the probabilities are and therefore helps us figure out what we do. So if it's got a thick blue dot, ignore the lines, if it's got a thick blue dot, that tells us probability is upwards and therefore more likely to buy. If we have a thick red dot, that tells us probability is downwards and therefore we should look to sell. If we have a thin dot of either colour, doesn't matter, thin dots tell us not enough probability either way, in which case do nothing. So we answer that question with an app. Now the second question might be, if I'm going to buy, where should I buy? If I'm going to sell, where should I sell? And again, we use an app to help us. It's called AutoUFOs. And this shows us, with the green ones, shows us where buyers are. With the red ones, they show us where sellers are. Now, why is this helpful? It's helpful because if we're going to buy, buying with lots of buyers is much more likely to push price up. The only place or the only way price can go up is if we have more buyers than sellers. So by knowing where lots of buyers are gives us higher probability that they beat the sellers and push price up. Same with the other way around. If we're going to sell, then we want to sell where there's lots of other sellers because they're more likely to beat the buyers and push price downwards. So we are using this app to help us figure out where we should buy and sell. Then we look at market volatility. Essentially, how quickly are these markets moving? What can we expect from them? So let's have a look at each of these markets or each of these elements per market, starting with the S&P 500. Now, the S&P 500 is the top 500 US stocks, and that's what we're looking at here. So essentially the US stock market. Now, what we see from this is a thick blue dot. Confirmed upwards climate, that tells us probability is upwards. Now, normally this market would also, let me just get rid of that for a second. Normally this market would go up for 9 candles and we're on candle number 10. So it tells us that we're coming to the end of what might be a usual move to the upside. Now we have buy orders underneath us. That's 45.51.50 to 45.15.25. Price has already sort of come in, hit those buyers and gone off. However, we do have sell orders just above us. I think we're within them right now. In fact, yes, we are, only just. So the sell orders are between 45.90 to 45.60.75, and price is already within them. So essentially what we have, just to summarize here, we have buyers pushing upwards from the UFOs and from the climate, but we have sellers right where we are right now pushing downwards, and we're kind of overextended or coming to the end of being overextended. So overall, I would say not enough probabilities in either direction. Those sell orders are too close. They're pushing price down as we speak. We don't want to get involved in that fight. So to me, let it play out and see what happens. I wouldn't hitch my horse to either side. Now, in terms of volatility, we would expect that the S&P 500 would go up or down in 1 year by 16.96%. So in one day, that's 48.64 points up or down. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 107.07 points. And in a month, it would be 222.87 points. So that's the S&P. Let's move on to the next market, which is oil. Now, as I load that, it says here about looking to educate yourself. There are many different courses that you can do in different markets, in psychology, in backtesting, trade plans. You can have a look at those, check them out. Now, most of them come with a 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms. You can get it on anyway. AutoUFOs is a subscription-based model, a paid-for app. You can subscribe to them directly. You don't have to get a course. It's just often cheaper actually to get a course and get 3 months access for free than it would be to just simply subscribe for the UFOs. So check that out, see what works best for you. Now let's take a look at crude oil. We have a thin red dot there. Now it doesn't matter that it's red. What matters is that it's thin. The thin dot is the AutoClimate app's way of telling us we have an unconfirmed climate, meaning not enough probabilities either way. If there's not enough probabilities either way, we don't want to do anything. Now we do have buyers here at 78.89 to 74.96, but we're a little way off them before price would hit them and potentially react. So overall, undecided there with crude oil, nothing really to do. Now in terms of volatility, we would expect oil to go up or down in 1 year of 37.63%. So in 1 day, that would be up or down of 1.94 points. In a week, 4.26 points, and in a month, 8.88 points. Now bear in mind, by the way, each of these markets that we're looking at a daily chart. So this is relevant to a daily time frame, okay? Now moving on to the next market, which is gold. Now with gold, we have, let's just squidge it down a bit here so we can see what's going on. Similar situation with gold as what we had with the S&P, in the sense of we do have a thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate, probability upwards. We do have buy orders beneath us, 1786 to 1760.3. Price has already come in and been pushed up by those sell orders. However, we have, been pushed up by those buy orders. We do have sell orders on top of us. So we have 1866 to 1804.4. That's where we have sellers. They have already worked a couple of times to push price down. So we've got sellers pushing down, buyers pushing up. We've got a confirmed upwards climate, but normally gold would go up for 7 candles and we're on candle number 7. So overall, we've got, again, points in different camps, not clear one way or the other. If it's not clear one way or the other, if we don't have confirmed probabilities one way or the other, best to do nothing when it comes to these markets. Now, in terms of volatility on gold, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 year of 16.08%. In 1 day, that's 18.23 points up or down. In a week, 40.13 points up or down. And in a month, 83.54 points up or down. So that's gold. Now, moving on to the next market is the US dollar. So let's just load this. Now, the US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide daily. So be aware of it, whether you trade it or not. Now, with the US dollar, we have an unconfirmed climate, a thin dot here, not enough probabilities either way, therefore no action required. We do have buy orders here, 93.495 to 93.195, and again, they've worked a few times to push price up. Every time prices come into them, they've pushed them back up again. That's why we want to know where they are, so that we can buy with them too, so that we have more probability that when we buy, price goes up. Now we have sell orders up here, 94.57 to 94.235. We're kind of in the middle. So again, overall, nothing really to do with the US dollar on this time frame. In terms of volatility, we'd expect it to move up or down in 1 year of 5.12%. So in a day, that would be 0.3 points. In a week, 0.67 points. And in a month, 1.39 points up or down. Okay, last market is backed Bitcoin. And this one, by the looks of it, is also going to be unconfirmed. So let's take a quick look here. Yes, so with backed Bitcoin, we have a thin dot. That tells us unconfirmed climate, not enough probabilities either way. We have buy orders just here, 58,347.5 to 53,860. but we have sell orders just above us at 64,332.5 to 61,300. So again, we have buyers underneath us, sellers above us. In all of our markets, actually, whether or not we've had a confirmed climate or not, we've had buyers and sellers very close together. We've got a fight going on in all of our major markets with not a clear direction for any of them, one way or the other, which is interesting. At least normally we would have one or two or three that might have something a little bit more confirmed here, but it seems to be a bit of indecision going on in the markets at the moment. Now, in terms of volatility with Bitcoin, we'd expect it to go up or down in 1 year of 87.52%. In a day, that is 3,377.41 points. In a week, 7,435.03 points. And in a month, 15,477.25 points, again up or down. So for each of our markets, we've looked at climate, which is this app here telling us where we have probabilities, up, down or nowhere. We've looked at buy and sell UFOs. Where do we have buyers and where do we have sellers that could be pushing price up or down respectively? And we've looked at volatility, how quickly we expect the markets to move. Now, one more thing we need to be looking at is our weekly economic calendar. Now, we get this from fxstreet.com, and what we do is we filter by high impact news. We do that because we want to know what scheduled news reports are likely to come out that may cause volatility in the markets, may make them move a little bit more. So for example, today being, what day is it today? It is Thursday. We had some news earlier on in the morning on the Japanese yen and the euro. Later on this morning, we have the US dollar, the euro and the Australian markets. So if you trade in those markets, that's the States, in the Eurozone, and in Australia, or you trade those currencies, be aware that we do have news coming out with them later on today. Now, any questions, you can email me, of course, but ideally you'd come to tradewithufos.com/Becky, and you can come and post your questions here once you've got a free membership, and I will answer them there so we can all learn from this space. You can book one-on-one coaching, and you can get the apps like AutoClimate and AutoUFOs for different platforms straight from this link as well. So any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, guys, have a great trading day. Have a great end to your trading week over the next couple of days. And I'll be back tomorrow for our market commentary for tomorrow. So take care, guys. Have a great trading